We didn't get a big and we're back, but we are definitely back.
Oh, do you want me to be big with it?
Yeah. Good, be big.
And we're back.
That was very loud.
That's how you do it, though.
Is it?
Yeah, you're pretty loud with it.
Am I?
Was that too loud?
I don't know. We'll find out when I edit it.
And I can't do it without being loud.
It's all right.
That's why I face it away, because
Okay.
you do it upwards and you bring it in.
I have to, because if you're right on the mic and you do it, it like peaks. It bottoms out the microphone.
And this is why I'm not loud.
This pillow behind me keeps pulling on my shirt.
We're a mess.
I can't win. Okay. I'm better now.
I'm glad.
I think I'm better now. I don't know. Episode
27.
8.
28?
Yep, I just edited 27.
You did.
Yep. Trying to get our content done. We are backlogging. We're backlogging content.
Backlogging, yeah.
So that when we're in St. Augustine this weekend, we don't have to worry about podcasts not getting done. Not that this will be released for another week and a half or 2 weeks after we get back, but what are you doing over there?
I have points I want to talk about, so I want to pull them up to make sure I'm ready when we go to do it.
Okay, well, how about we just start with that? Because I've got absolutely nothing I want to talk about that's not camera gear related, and I beat that horse to death.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the green line test?
No.
So apparently it's this like relationship rule that somebody came up with. So the green line rule is the way a couple stands next to one another, especially when posing for photos, is a prime indicator of their dynamic and exactly who is in charge.
Okay, guys, explain that.
So,
Because that's not enough information.
well, I wanted to explain that before I'm gonna. So when the green line thing is one person stands this way and then one person leans in. So the one standing is kind of like the pillar of the relationship. They wear the pants. They're the powerhouse, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And the one leaning in is the one who like succeeds in the relationship, tends to give in. And 9 times out of 10, those relationships, as we've seen like in the public eye with celebrities, don't really work out. And one of the prime examples when I was looking into the green line test the guy showed was Will Smith and Jada. And in photos of Will Smith and Jada, Will Smith is leading into her. And then he showed a photo of Jada and the dude that she cheated on him with, and they're both standing straight. And he was like, that shows that women look for a man who is able to stand on his own, all of this other shit. I don't know if there's any validity to it, right? And I was like, and I started thinking about our pictures. All of our pictures are us standing straight.
It's me holding you against me.
Right, but it's never
Which
one
means
of us.
we have to be standing straight.
Right, but there's never a leaning into each other.
Right. Does that make sense to you, though?
Right.
When we're standing next to each other, my arm goes around your lower back and I pull you against my body. So even if you wanted to lean, you couldn't.
Right. I don't know. I just thought that was a dope thing. Like, we proved the green line theory. It's some stupid internet thing, but I thought it was neat. This next one's not some stupid internet thing. Do you know who Candace Owens is?
Of course I know.
I am
Candace Owens is.
obsessed with her.
Yeah? Oh, you're going to get so much hate. Just
Good.
saying that you're a fan of Candace Owens is going to get you hate.
I like Candace Owens. I like that other girl. I can't remember her name. She always has her hair in braids. Oh, I love her as well. She speaks out the way that we speak out about, women, you kind of got to get on your shit. Men aren't the only ones who are doing bad things here.
Right.
So I came across a Candace Owens video, and she was talking about how a Google employee was fired. And the reason that he was fired is for not being inclusive enough. Right? And then he came out against it, and he was like, no, that's not what happened. What happened was we were at a work get together, and his superior was intoxicated, and she started groping him.
I remember this article.
And he said, I'm not into this. I'm a married man. And she was like, come on, I know you're into Asians, because he's married to an Asian. And she was like, my marriage is lackluster and all of these other things. This man got sexually harassed at the workplace.
And then fired.
And then got fired because he wasn't inclusive enough.
Yeah. Can you imagine the lawsuits that are following that? I want to see how those play out because it's Google. And
Right.
Alphabet's going to sell it out of court. they will absolutely settle out of court because it's going to be a lot easier to throw a whole bunch of money at that guy than it is to be driven through
Right.
to show that they have a work environment that is conducive to sexual misconduct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that dude's going to get paid.
I hope he does. That is absolutely unacceptable.
I would rather see it go all the way through and not just get the payout.
Yeah.
But can't get everything you want.
I was surprised I just heard of this. Was this a recent thing?
It was within the last 2 months that I heard of it. It was within the last 2 months. Might have been the last month.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Candace Owens. I like anyone that's in the spotlight that speaks their mind and does not go with the grain of everything.
Right. It's just logical based thinking.
Right. I like, I don't know. I used to, like, I've always liked, is it Bill Maher? Is that the guy that's really far left that's starting to start talking more conservative talking points? He's moving more center line instead of being super far left. And he's basically going, you guys realize what you're doing, right? You realize how fucked up you are and how fucked up things are going. And like, he's really starting to like wake up to things. Mm-hmm. Russell Brand, same thing. Like, he was super far left at one point and now he's becoming more center line. And that's what we need. Like, right. I am very afraid that politically we are going to swing too far right because that's the way things go.
Right. It's one extreme or the other.
And then, and every time it swings, instead of swinging less, it swings more. Mm-hmm. And the more it swings to one side, the worse we're going to be. It needs to do natural physics and swing less.
Right. We need a balance.
But it's not doing that. So, did you see that Target has lost over $13 billion in a week? Because of what they're doing, and Budweiser is now down $27 billion. That Bud Light thing has gotten so bad that companies that are joining with Budweiser to do advertisements are being affected. Harley Davidson has dropped in value because they signed a deal with Budweiser. Harley Davidson.
Wow. There are diehard Harley dudes out there.
Collectors. There are people that will collect that shit.
And chicks too, I want to clarify.
Yeah. But to think that people are so vehemently against what's going on with these major corporations that they're voting with their dollars. And whether you agree or disagree, your vote on how you spend matters. And more people are voting against than for, because Target has the lowest drop that they've had in 5 years for a consecutive time frame. This is the biggest loss they've had in a long time. It's Target.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
And you know why Target's losing so much money? Because of mothers. Because men don't go to Target and spend money the way that women do.
Oh, I loved going to Target.
Women go into Target and shop like a motherfucker.
I would stop and get my Starbucks.
Right, and you're also a mother.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have those conversations with your kid who's fucking 3 and 4 years old as to what these things are going on, or even 7 or 8.
I'm good.
And now mothers are starting to speak up. This shit, I don't know. It is what it is. I analyze business aspects and metrics and marketing and things like that very hard because I'm very into that shit.
Right.
It helps me with my business. It helps me with the podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot to learn from other people's mistakes, and you just have to watch the trends. I saw an article that Budweiser's now doubling down and that they donated like $200,000 to some pride event. And the gay community is speaking out saying you guys are only pandering now because of what's happening and that you don't actually support us. This entire thing was a fucking ploy. So now the gay community is also not supporting Bud Light.
Love that.
Right? Like,
I absolutely love that.
You pandering fucks. They're like, bye.
When I first saw that ad, one of my thoughts was, I would kind of be offended if I was part of the LGBTQ community, you know? And I'm not saying you guys have to feel any certain way. Just me personally, I've been like, kind of, damn. And I don't remember where I was going with any of that because you said something and I got sidetracked.
Pride Month is when all of the corporations come out and put rainbows all over their shit on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And it's only in America.
Right.
When you look at Europe, you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at everywhere else in the world where these big companies do business, they're not doing that. Mm-hmm. They're literally doing that to appeal to that market in the United States because it is a popular thing that happens once a year.
Right.
These same companies that are supporting Pride Month in the U.S. are supporting businesses in countries or that are headquartered in countries that kill homosexuals. You look at any there are still places in the Middle East where you will be locked in a cage and set on fire for your sexual beliefs. I'm
pretty sure I just read an article a few months ago that a gay gentleman got stoned to death.
Yeah, that happens. They get thrown off of roofs.
Yeah.
They get murdered in the streets. Like, there's a whole lot of foul shit that goes on all over the world, and that's never talked about. It's talked about here during Pride Month. because it's Pride Month. These corporations are pandering, trying to get the people who support these things to spend their money on these products while supporting other businesses and corporations that are anti-LGBTQ all over the rest of the world, because that's the rest of the world's stance.
Right. And it's to the point of terminating you guys.
Yeah. Yep. You should, when you look into that, it's bad.
It really is. I remember what I was going to say. So you just said that Budweiser's doubling down. So they did the ad, backtracked, fired the person who created the ad, who okayed it, said, we don't know how this happens. Sorry, everybody who's offended.
Yep.
LGBTQ.
Get fucked. Pretty much. Yeah, that's what they were saying.
And now they're doubling down, donating a bunch of money.
Right. Well, it was only $200,000. And in grand scheme of Budweiser, that's not a lot of money.
I mean, for an organization receiving that could be a lot of money for them.
Right.
I just interrupted you. I apologize.
It doesn't matter. I was going to go on a tangent, and I really don't need to, because I read metrics and I understand the data of things. And because I read the metrics, I dig deeper than just what the news is telling you on things. So knowing that Budweiser never apologized to their main base, the NASCAR guys, like they kind of like side skirted it. Oh, we didn't know how this happened. There was no real apology there. And they didn't pick a side. They tried to toe the line and pander to both. And they did like a new, like America 9/11 style commercial. And then that didn't work. And then they backed the Pride thing and then tried to sign with Budweiser to get Budweiser, Harley Davidson, so that they're trying really fucking hard to not apologize to anyone and also not cater to one group.
Okay.
Because they realize that no matter how they play this out, they are isolating part of their consumer base. You can't do that. When you get involved in politics and social justice as a business, you are isolating part of your demographic, no matter how you look at it.
What I would do if I was a massive corporation like this, right? There has to be a single person in the LGBTQ community who is invested in creating beer.
I'm sure there is.
Right? I would have partnered with them, got them going, and then have it be like sponsored by Budweiser or whatever.
Right.
That I think that would have been a very solid move, because not only are you showing that you're supporting that community, you're putting somebody in that community in business.
Right. The problem with that is they would never do that, because they would be putting a competitor in business. Now, they would probably buy that small business that's owned by somebody in that community, and it would be a Budweiser product, but that person would no longer own it. Budweiser would. That's cronyism. Like that's not true capitalism. There's oligarchies and everything that's going on in terms of like major businesses.
Well, can't somebody like the owner of Budweiser go, I'm willing to put stake in your company for 30% of profits or whatever?
Yeah, I'm sure they could, but why would they?
Because they want the goal of reaching to that community.
That's small business mindset. That is entrepreneurship. That's actually very healthy in terms of creating competition and like being able to be in a position where you can put somebody else in business and then make a little bit of a profit off of it.
Right.
But for the amount of money that they would have to spend to do that, there's no guarantee that there would be a return on their investment. And they have investors. It's not like it's a single owned business anymore. Anytime companies go private and they have board of directors and they have stockholders that they have to answer to, it's a very different game than when it's a single owned entity. That's the difference between monopolies in the 1920s and monopolies now.
Right.
That's why the Rockefellers and all the people, the JP Morgan Chase and Ford and all those guys made the fucking generational wealth that they made, because it was just them. They didn't have to fucking answer to anyone. Now everybody's got to answer to somebody.
Right.
This is content that you guys normally don't get from us, and it's not picking sides, because we are absolutely not picking sides. We are strictly talking about the business aspect of all of this.
Yeah.
Our standpoint is, if you're not hurting anybody, who gives a fuck what you're doing? Leave kids alone. Mind your business. We'll do the same thing until it gets in the news, and then we're going to talk about it.
Right.
Especially when there's billions of dollars being lost.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting as fuck to me.
It's just crazy out of all of the avenues they could have taken.
Yep.
Just business-wise, just crazy.
Did you see the amount of insurance companies that are leaving the ESG bullshit that's going on in Europe right now?
No.
Lords of London, which is a bigger bank over there, just left, or insurance. They just left a big conglomerate of insurers that are pushing the Green New Deals and the ESG credit scores and all that shit. And I guess there was like 6 or 7 banks that left in the same week, and they've lost 1/5 of their backing. because of the ESG scores that they're starting to push over there, because the Americans are speaking out so much about what's going on that we're able to like start influencing what's happening over there.
ESG?
ESG is it's a social credit score essentially. I'm going purely off memory. I'm not going to speak on that because I don't want to say
Right.
something wrong and people be like, "You're a fucking idiot. That's not what it is." I don't have any of the shit memorized. I just know that it is a credit score based off of your public perception and your social standings. So if you're pro or anti-LGBTQ,
Stop. Are you serious
oh, yeah.
right now?
Yeah, big corp.
Have you ever watched Black Mirror?
I don't know.
There's an episode in Black Mirror where it's that. Everything about you is based on how you're perceived in society. So if people don't like you and they downvote you, you're going to have a really shit life.
Okay, so ESG is basically that. In short, it's that, but it's for businesses. So like if you have a poor ESG credit score, there are insurance companies overseas and in America that won't do business with your major corporation because your ESG is low.
Wow.
Which means you're a risk if somebody wants to burn your building down because you don't support what they're supporting. That's the short of it. It's so much deeper than that, but that's my understanding of it. So look
Okay.
into the ESG thing. If you guys don't know what the ESG scores are, Google that shit or go on YouTube and type in what, ESG threat and actually see what it says.
I have to make a note real quick.
Okay. While you do that, did you see that Apple did their release yesterday?
A release?
They did like their big
Oh, yeah.
press conference and like we're getting new home screens for the iPhone iOS 17 and like we're getting new widgets on the iPad and they're creating all these new things and like they have new ways to share contacts and it's basically all of their updates. The studio's getting the M2 chip in it, the Mac Pro, which is the PCI slotted computer that they make, is getting a whole bunch of upgrades. I watch those things because I like tech, even though I don't like fixing tech. And when something doesn't work the way I want it to, I get super butthurt about it. And like, it makes me want to break everything. I do enjoy new technology. It's exciting to see where we're going because when I was a kid, none of this existed.
Right.
So, I expected flying cars by now. And like, I really expected Back to the Future
Yeah.
by now as a kid. But to see where we're going in terms of technology, they released their Apple Vision, which is a pair of goggles. And when they put that on, it was Ready Player One. Like it had the thick gray band that went around the back of it. When they put it on, it was the same. They did the same CGI camera effect where they showed him putting the glasses on and it went through the lens and looked out. It was the exact same thing that they did in the movie. So I got Ready Player One vibes from it. I'm like, okay, this is exciting. And like, they were like, you can have spatial sound where it maps your room. So there's 3D imaging that maps your room out to fix your spatial sound and to put shadows on things where your screens are going to be. And if you want to watch a movie in space about space, the rest of your room can become space. And like, it's very immersive and it was exciting to watch. And like the nerd in me is like, dude, video games are going to be dope on this. Avatar while on mushrooms would be dope on this shit. Like all the cool things that I started playing through. And then I started doing research. Apple tracks, they track all your data.
They do.
Every company does. Google does it. Everybody, TikTok does it. Every major company is you are a consumer. We are the consumer. They are the drug dealers. We are the product. The way that these new haptics or whatever you want to call them works is they track how long you look at something,
Correct.
where your eyes go first, how your eye movements are. There is speculation that these things can tell your sexual orientation within the first 10 seconds of looking at images online because of where your eyes land on the photo. This entire thing stressed me out so bad yesterday that I had to walk away from my computer for about an hour. That's why when you came back with the kids last night, I was laying down in bed. Like
Yeah.
I had stressed myself out so much that I exhausted myself.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I'm doing the research on all this, and I understand that the way that they're tracking eye movements and trying to understand brain patterns. One, I think this is the first step to Minority Report, which is sci-fi anyways, but I truly think that that's coming. In the scenario where there's a pandemic and they want to control the fear and they want to get people to submit to their whims, they will have enough data about the way we digest information just from our tracking our eye movements that they will know how to program the information coming into those headsets to make us submit, essentially. I am absolutely fucking terrified of where that technology is going.
I am absolutely terrified of where everything is going right now. I watched a video about AI yesterday.
Yeah.
So that video was posted 10 days ago, right? So it was recorded 2 weeks prior. In that video, the person's husband said, wouldn't it be insane if AI just edits your videos for you? It's been 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks at this point. And AI is editing our videos.
Yeah, well, it's trying to. The software needs a lot of work. That Autopod is something that I did the trial run for to see if it would work the way that it's supposed to, and it's not there yet, but it's learning, and it will be.
That's horrifying to me.
You should read Life 3.0.
No, I'm scared.
It will change your entire perception of everything AI. ChatGPT, all the things that are being included right now and like being pushed out to the public, you wouldn't want nothing to do with any of it.
No, you know, when they first started announcing AI, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 years ago, there was like Replica, which was an AI you could speak with. And I would do that shit. The information I have now, I haven't done any AI in a while because it makes me uncomfortable. But knowing the things that I know now, absolutely not.
Yep. Snapchat has AI into it now.
I know. That was another thing that they covered in the video with AI is that they were talking with the AI on Snapchat. And in 7 days, the AI was saying, no, like Snapchat has AI, but I'm a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That Life 3.0 was talking about AI. They're getting to a point with AI that they're going to have to start doing research in a hardened room where there's no signal. It will literally be a desk with a computer with the AI software on it. There will be no Wi-Fi signal. The computer will be off at all times unless the room has been secured. You can't bring any objects inside with you. You'll have to wear a suit when you go in there. Like, you can't bring anything into this room because AI will get to the point that it learns so fast that in the event that it hits the internet and it is fully functional,
We're fucked.
within 1 month, the entire world would collapse.
Yeah, the
Because
human race
it
would
would
be
take
gone.
over the stock markets. They were talking about in the event that they could use the AI for medical purposes, because they are already using AI for medical purposes. They say that for every hour that a doctor spends with a patient, there's 3 hours of notes on the back end. AI is starting to reduce that because it's already becoming part of the medical field. And if you have symptoms and you have 15 symptoms, they use those 15 symptoms and do deep dives to figure out what's going on. And it can narrow it down to like 2 or 3 things. So AI is beneficial in that aspect. But in what they're talking about in that book, it would take over the stock market, would collapse all the currencies. And it would make it so that we are solely dependent on it. And it would learn so fast that in order for us to keep up, it would have to create manuals that are dummied down for us to understand in order to even build the tools. And eventually we would be building the tools so that it could build its own shit. And all that would happen within a month. It could happen within a month because of how fast it all learns. That book stressed me out bad. It changed my entire thought process on technology. It's exciting to see all this happening and like space exploration and the way that like this could really change humankind. I don't know. The idea of it going, all of that information going to mega corporations that truly do not have our best interest at heart really fucks me up.
Me too. The Ready Player One thing that you were just talking about, I would never want that in the household.
Yeah. See, and I'm the opposite. I got super excited over that.
Do you know how hard that would kill our intimacy?
Right. It would. Well, it would. No, it wouldn't, because we would watch movies like that while you're in my lap. Like, but for us to use that strictly to watch TV, because, and this is a problem too, it maps your room. That data is saved somewhere.
Right.
So when it 3D maps your room every time you put it on and it checks for spatial, they have a fucking layout of your living room or
Yes.
whatever room you're in.
And if you're walking around the house doing this
It
shit,
maps all of it.
they're going to have the whole layout of your house.
Right.
They're going to know where you're at majority of your time.
Yep.
I'm good on that.
Yep. There's a lot that goes into all that. And they, the 3D learning aspect, they keep pushing this whole peer-to-peer encrypted nonsense. They're saving this shit. They save everything because it helps learning in the future. So like if they had 800 million test subjects for this thing, and we were the test subjects, when they need the AI to learn the software to better it, there's the 800 million fucking people. Here's the data. AI, do your job, because it's faster than it would be if we did it. I was watching something the other day that said the Apple Center has the technology that's getting released in the next 10 years already developed and waiting, because they're testing to make sure everything works at this point. We're about to start seeing great fucking leaps in what's coming in technology because of the AI learning software that they've created.
This makes me so uncomfortable. It really does. I came across something else where someone did an interview with like one of the top people at Instagram. And they're like, yeah, the AI is so advanced. It's so much smarter than us. We don't really understand how anything works anymore.
Yep. I was reading something the other day that said that Amazon by 2030 is trying to go completely automated. vans automated, warehouses automated. The only thing that I don't know how they would even like pull product or like put it on the shelves for AI to do the job or robots to do the job. But if they could go completely automated by 2030, they would have to implement a social wage. There's a name for that, and I can't think of what it is right now. But they said that in the event that they go completely automated, they would still be able to pay their current employees a livable wage and still make a profit doing what they're doing.
So their employees wouldn't have to work anymore?
Well, they would put them on some sort of social pay. It wouldn't be what they're making, but they would be like, okay, you're making $60,000 a year. We're going to pay you $40,000 a year and lay you off. You don't need to work anymore. Here's $40,000 a year because we're going to go completely automated. And if they do that, there's no jobs. Amazon's one of the largest employers in the United States.
I was about to say they've created millions of jobs.
Right, but look at Walmart. Walmart's going automated. Checkers has fucking AI ordering. Like, those things are happening as they push for a bigger minimum wage.
An increase in pay.
Right. Large corporations are going to go, I can't afford to pay them and still stay in business. Or, I'm sorry, smaller corporations will do that. Mom and pop places are definitely not going to be able to stay in business. And the larger corporations are going to go, okay, we want to increase our profits. The best way to do that is to lay off 100,000 people and bring in 3 robots. Because they can do that. And that's actually something that I looked into like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was getting ready to start investing in it, but it was only going into 2 restaurants at that point. I didn't know, like, that'd be really great for me if it took off, if I invested at that point. But there's like this is kind of fucked up. So I really shouldn't be investing in this kind of thing. But they're working on that. That thing that I was looking into a couple years ago said that 2 robots can be full-time, 24 hours a day employees that can do the job. I think of like 13 employees, and it's the same cost as having 2 employees for the year because the maintenance is super low.
Right.
And that cost is the rental of the robots and the maintenance of the robots.
It's also going to remove human error.
Right. So if you can get 2 robots for the cost of 2 full-time employees that can work 24/7, 365, and 13 people are getting laid off in the process, that 13 people at a $20,000 a year job at every single restaurant really fucking adds up for the franchises like McDonald's and Wendy's. And they're not going to fuck the orders up because it's programmed to do the same thing every time. Where a human error can be like, what did you say, Bob? Oh shit, I forgot the pickles.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a very different thing. I don't know. We are definitely in a weird shift. I don't think the country's going to look the same in 10 years. I truly don't.
I agree.
Yep. I got super excited over those Google goggles or the Apple Vision thing.
Yeah.
I did. I Ready Player One. I thought about that shit immediately. It was like, this has been my dream since I was a kid to go into an augmented reality to play video games. No offense to most of the gamers out there. I'm clearly not in the best shape of my life. Most gamers are overweight. Obesity issues. They sit in front of a keyboard and click, or they game and drink sodas and eat Cheetos. If you had to run on a fucking platform that moves when you're running around in a thing and you have to be physically active,
you're going to get your cardio.
We're going to live longer. And it's going to be a lot more immersive. We can't run around and talk shit. Oh, I can't believe you missed that shot when everybody's running and shooting, like physically running.
Right.
Or having to learn to walk without locking your knees out and staying on the sides of your feet. Like, there's a whole lot of shit that goes into all of that. It would change video games for people who actually have military training. They would enjoy playing Call of Duty versus the 12-year-old who's fucking murking everyone on the map because that's all they do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think about shit like that and like being able to play like D&D in an augmented reality where there's actual D&D things and like you can fucking play with flaming swords. And my D&D dream is heavy on me right now.
Yeah.
That fucking dream was so cool last night. I had a dream, guys, last night that I had a box that in my dream, all I had to do was think of the D&D item and it would appear in the box. And I fucking loaded my character out and woke up. I was so pissed I didn't get to use anything because I got greedy in my dream because it just kept going. What else can I have? What else can I have? What else can I have?
Did you take too long picking out what you wanted?
Yeah, I could have at least like I had all kinds. I was fully loaded out with gear, and I was like, all right.
You stepped out of
and
the
then
store.
I woke up. I'm like, fuck. Yep.
That sucks.
It did. I was a little disappointed. It was a really cool dream though. I woke up happy because of it. Like, how cool is that to like? I don't know.
I would have tried to go back to sleep.
Yeah. I had to get up. It was 7. I needed to get up.
It was like 7:30ish.
Yeah.
Everybody slept in the day.
Yeah. That's because we've had a rough 48 hours. Been very little sleep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that was an interesting intro to a podcast that had
Yeah.
nothing to do with anything.
No, it really didn't.
Maybe we should clip the first half of this and stick it on the reaction channel.
I'm here for that.
I changed the name of the reaction channel yesterday
To what?
to Be Better. TOO.
Oh, because it's under the umbrella.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
That's smart.
For those of you who watched the intro for this, you may have noticed that 1, it's shorter. It's only 15 seconds. 2, it's a new intro. And 3, oh, you know what? That's not this intro. The 3 does not apply to this intro. It applies to Ruminations and Revelations.
Correct.
It says To Be Better Productions and not To Be Better Podcast.
I love that.
Yeah. AJ was like, do we level this up yet? I'm like, yeah, let's level it up. Fuck it, bro. Let's go.
Stop. I have palpitations. Like my chest is.
How cool would it be if we got to the point where we got big enough that we could go and set up podcast rooms for people?
Could you imagine?
I could imagine, because I fucking love this. We're going to do black walls, white trim, white chairs.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Oh, you have a really big space. You're going to put lights on the ceiling that like this, but mounted from the ceiling, and we're going to run all your wires through the baseboards and around. And
I would love to be an interior decorator. Stop
yeah.
it. I'm just imagining someone says, I want a hippies vibe. Give me the 70s.
Yeah. I don't think it would ever actually do that, because podcasts are very, very simple to set up on a low end. And that's what most people are doing. You know, our friend Tony, who has the D&D podcast,
Right.
is running it out of his garage. It's not high tech at all. It's definitely not like this nonsense. This is ridiculous. I'm going to post a picture to the gram.
Oh, we're going to the gram.
Yep. I don't even remember. What was our Instagram is To Be Better Podcast.
Correct.
Well, I am ready to get into the episode whenever you're actually ready to get into the episode. I have nothing else to bullshit about.